أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي السلام عليكم. Today is the 9th of Muharram, and tonight will be the night known as Shabi Ashur, the eve of Ashura, on the land of Karbala. On the eve of Ashura, the mothers are sitting with their children. Layla would be sitting with Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam. Farwa salamullah alayhi would be sitting with Qasim alayhi salam. The lady Zainab salamullah alayhi would be sitting with her children on Muhammad. What would they be telling their children? They would be telling them, do not let harm come to Hussein. If Hussein is harmed and you are alive, I cannot live. You must die before Hussein is harmed. Why are they doing this? They know that Hussein is on the right path. They know that this sacrifice is necessary to save Islam. And what is Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam doing? He is on the edges of the camp guarding to make sure nobody will attack the camp at night. And where is Hussein alayhi salam? Where is Imam Hussain alayhi salam? He is in his tent with all his friends and companions. He is saying, my friends, tonight is the last night. Tomorrow is Ashura. Tomorrow you will all be killed. No one will be spared tomorrow. My companions, you have suffered enough on the account of me. There's still time to save your lives. I'm going to put out the candles and you can escape into the darkness of the night. I will forgive you. God be with you. Imam Hussain puts out the candles and waited. It was so dark, anyone could have escaped without being seen or embarrassed. Imam Hussain relit the candles. How many of them escaped? Imam Hussain counted. Out of the 72 who were there before the candles, 72 were still there. No one ran. They all recognized that what they were doing was necessary. They recognized that Imam Hussain was on the right path. They knew that their sacrifice in the name of Islam would be accepted by God and Islam would be saved. The reformation of Islam that Imam Hussain alayhi salam had set out to do was going to be completed with their sacrifice. On Ashura, Imam al-Hussain sacrificed his friends, his companions, his brothers, his nephews, and his children. Did Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam ever complain? He never complained. Imam al-Hussain, it is narrated, said that after the sacrifice of his 18-year-old son Ali al-Akbar, the light of his eyes, after whose martyrdom Imam al-Hussain lost his vision, he said, oh God, give me more patience. Is there anything else I can give for your sake? Imam al-Hussain was prepared to sacrifice everything in the name of God. He prayed for patience and more patience. And in the late noon of Ashura, Imam al-Hussain was alone. The sons of the lady Zainab salamullah alayhi had been killed. Ono Muhammad had been killed. Hazrat Qasim alayhi salam, the beloved son of Imam al-Hussein's brother Hassan, had been hit on the head with a mace and trampled so that his body was in pieces. Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam was lying on the bank of the Euphrates, missing two arms, with one eye completely gone and the other covered in blood. Hazrat Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam's chest was torn open with a spear and he was missing his liver. Was there anything else left that Imam Hussain could sacrifice? Imam Hussain bade farewell to his family and went to a mountain. Went to a mountain riding his war horse and equipped for warfare and called out, Hal min nasir yansuruna? Is there anybody left to help me? Is there anybody left to help the grandson of the Holy Prophet? Suddenly a cry rang out from the camp behind Hussein. Yes, today is the day that we will discuss the greatest sacrifice on the day of Ashura, one of the greatest sacrifices on that day, one of the greatest crimes committed by the Yazidi army against the family of Rasulullah. Today is the day we commemorate the infant who smiled when death flew towards him. Today is the day of Ali ibn Hussain al-Asghar alayhi salam. Ali ibn al-Hussain al-Asghar alayhi salam was the youngest son of Imam al-Hussain. At Karbala, he was only 6 months old. Ali al-Asghar had a bright, beautiful, and happy face that whoever looked upon the face would be filled with joy and humility. Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam was the son of Rubab salamullah alayhi and the brother of Imam al-Hussein's beloved daughter Saqina salamullah alayhi. When Imam al-Hussain equipped himself for battle and cried out on that hill, Hal min nasir yansurna? Is there anyone left to help me? The Imam's only remaining son, one of the only two remaining sons of the Imam, the future fourth Imam, Imam Ali Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, attempted to rise from his bed, but fell back. He was so sick, he could barely walk. A cry rose out from the camp. Imam Hussain turned around and wondered who could be crying. He went back and found his sister, the lady Zainab salamullah alayhi, weeping. He asked her, Zainab, your brother is still alive. Why do you weep? He then was told, when you cried out, is there anybody left to help me? Al-Asghar fell from his cradle. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam found Hazrat Ali al-Asghar in the arms of his mother, Rubab salamullah alayhi, and took him into his arms. Ali al-Asghar was crying like there was no tomorrow. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam whispered something in Ali al-Asghar's ear. And Hazrat Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam stopped crying and smiled with joy. What is it that Imam al-Hussain said in Ali Asghar's ear that made him stop crying? It is maybe he said, my son Ali al-Asghar, I did not forget about you. Karbala would not be complete without your sacrifice, Ali al-Asghar. Would you like to come to the battlefield with me? Hazrat Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam beamed when he saw that his father had not forgotten about him. Rubab salamullah alayhi changed Hazrat Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam's clothes. It is even said that she tied a small turban on his head. Oh, the will of a mother. Whenever strangers come to your house and you want to make a first impression, your mother always dressed you up. Here Rubab is dressing up Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam to look his finest. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam covered Hazrat Ali al-Asghar with his cloak to protect him from the blazing sun of the late afternoon in the Arabian desert. When he approached with his arm under his cloak, the Yazidi army thought that Imam al-Hussain was coming with the Quran to attempt a last final victory. No one from the family of Rasulullah will use the Quran as leverage. Only the hypocrites like those in Yazid's army would use the Quran as leverage, as they did in Siffin. Imam al-Hussain removed the cloak and bared Ali al-Asghar to the Yazidi army. He cried out, "O armies of Kufa and Sham, you have animosity towards me. You feel I've wronged you in some way. But surely this child has not done anything to you. I beg you, O armies of Kufa and Sham, allow him a few drops of water to quench his thirst." What has come when an imam would be begging would be begging hypocrites for water for his son? The father figure of Imam Hussain was looking out for his son. No one stepped forward after that desperate cry. Imam Hussain alayhi salam said, "If you feel that if you bring water to him, that I will drink it, then allow me to put him on the plains of Karbala. I will step back, you come and give him water yourself." Imam Hussain put Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam on the burning sands of Karbala and stepped back. Ali al-Asghar, the innocent Ali al-Asghar, looked at the armies, at the soldiers standing in front of him as no one stepped forward with a cup of water. As he made eye contact with the soldiers began to waver. This isn't a soldier. Imam al-Hussein had left Medina with no intent to start a war. The Yazidis were starting to realize it now. This isn't a warrior on the battlefield looking to kill thousands. This is a father with a thirsty son, a son who's barely 6 months old, who beholds the armies of Sham and Kufa with an innocent gaze. No one came forward. Imam al-Hussein picked Ali al-Asghar up again and held him above his head. He said, "My son Ali al-Asghar, show them how thirsty you are." Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam took his tongue out of his mouth, revealed his dry tongue, and ran it over his parched lips. The Yazidi army couldn't take anymore. They started weeping. "What are we doing? What atrocities have we committed? This is a child in the hands of the grandson of Rasulullah, a child who's been 30 for 3 days." The army couldn't take any more. The Yazidi soldiers began to rebel. They began to rebel against their commanders. They all began to cry. The oppressed torture that Ali al-Asghar had endured had awoken the humility in the soldiers of Yazid. But there were some in whom humility did not exist. One of them was Umar bin Saad, another was Hurmala. Omar bin Saad began to panic. He called, "Hurmala, silence this child before it is too late." Hurmala was a famous archer. He rode to the front of the ranks, pushing aside the weeping soldiers, and he knocked an arrow on his longbow. This wasn't any normal arrow. As the companions and the family of Imam Hussain alayhi salam were being murdered on the fields of Karbala, most of the arrows that were used against them were normal, ordinary, single war-headed arrows. Hurmala knocked a 3-headed arrow, one bigger than Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam himself. This is not an arrow used to kill men. This is an arrow used to kill horses and elephants. Hurmala, lanatullah alayh, let the arrow fly. There is no humility in Hurmala. The arrow flew towards Ali al-Asghar. Ali al-Asghar smiled and arched his neck and bared his neck to the arrow. The arrow went through the small throat of the infant and lodged itself in Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam's arm. Now is the time to cry. One of the greatest atrocities of Karbala have been committed. This is not a soldier with a sword and shield facing an army. This is a child who could not even hold a toy, let alone a sword. Imam Hussain alayhi salam dislodged the arrow from his arm and gently removed it from the ruined neck of Ali al-Asghar. A fountain of blood gushed. A voice came from the sky. Hussein, do not cast the blood to us, else it will never rain again on this earth. A voice came from the ground, Hussein, do not cast the blood on us, or this land will never bear plants again. Imam Hussain alayhi salam could not cast the blood to the sky, could not cast the blood on the ground. He wiped it on his face. Imam Hussain covered the body of Ali al-Asghar with his cloak and began to walk back to the camp. He saw Rubab, salamullah alayh, anxiously waiting for her son. Imam Hussain wondered, how do I explain to Rubab that her son has been killed with a three-headed arrow? We went to get him water. He got an arrow in the throat. How can I face Rubab? 7 times Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam went forward and 7 times back, and each time he did, he would say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from Allah, and to him we will return. Imam al-Hussain finally reached the tent of Rubab and said, Rumhab, come take your al-Asghar. Your son has died for the sake of Allah. Rubab looked at the body of al-Asghar and wept deeply. Imam al-Hussain and Rubab walked behind the tents. Imam al-Hussain took his father's sword, Zulfiqar, the double-pointed sword, and dug a small grave for the small body of Ali al-Asghar. He placed the body inside of the grave and covered it. There was no water that Hussein had to sprinkle on Hazrat Ali al-Asghar's grave. There was no water to sprinkle. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam sat by the grave crying. There wasn't water that was sprinkled on the grave of Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam. The grave was sprinkled with the tears of the grandson of Rasulullah. Assalamu ala Ali ibn al-Hussain al-Asghar. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un.